any idea where we're going to go with this subject about feeling unloved, feeling unlovable? Got any idea with it? It's going to be interesting where it's going to take us. Hi, I'm Dr. Bob, the Christian Laity Foundation. Our website is Christian Laity, L-A-I-T-Y, foundation.org, where you're going to find loads of support for you in this topic of feeling unloved and feeling unlovable. Loads of further support, but we're going to put in as much as we can in this segment about how this is overcome, because it ain't true. It's a feeling that you're having, feeling unloved, feeling unlovable. This is a feeling that you've got. Why isn't it true? Because unless God lost his loving skills, he has made you a loving and lovable being. You are God's spirit child. You are a spirit of love, made to exist in the kingdom of heaven for all eternity in this state of being loving and lovable. Because if you feel you're lovable, you're going to be loving. You're going to give it away. And so the secret to this feeling unlovable is, how do you find the way to be able to give this away, to give love away? Because giving love away stops those kinds of feelings. But if you feel unlovable, it makes you unloving, because you're just figuring out that I'm going to get rejected. They're just waiting. Nobody cares about me. That's the curse of this kind of a feeling, which comes from this human state, but which does not exist as a reality in the being, in the identity that you truly are, because you're made of God stuff. This human stuff even isn't God stuff. If you've read some of the other segments here, when we talk about the fact that you're a spirit being, and you're playing at being a human being, and playing at a human being means you feel separate from God, and when you feel separate from God, you're feeling guilty of what have you done. You've moved away from the person who's created you, and feelings of guilt and shame make you feel unlovable. And now that you feel unlovable, you automatically assume that nobody's going to love you, because you're unlovable, and it stops you. And so we have to return to who you truly are, to kill off these feelings of being unlovable, because they're a lie. They are an imagined concept of yourself, which is a fraud. Absolutely no truth to it whatsoever. That is not who you are. That is not who you are. You are imagining this unlovable, unloving being, this human being which you are playing around with, rather than being aware of the lovable and loving being that you are in the spirit of the kingdom of God for all eternity. It just never is going to bother you again when you know how to solve this. Well, in we go. Now, God's going to talk about this issue. In fact, he wanted me to do this. This is God's orders, marching orders, to be able to talk about this feeling of being unlovable. Now, on the website, gave it to you, ChristianLaityFoundation.org, there is a portion of it called the Footladder of Notes Divine. And the Footladder of Notes Divine are the dictations that God has been given to me for 13 years. I hear them. They're in beautiful poetic form, and I write them down. And he says, number 726, that's what he wants covered today. 726 is the 726th verse that is found within the Footladder. And it could be, because it's beautiful poetry, that you might want to read it yourself. But here we go. Here is God immediately informing you, you're off base. Hello, hello, my child. Can you hear me? You are off base. Yoo-hoo. You're off base. First sentence. Here sits the God of love, entwined with thee. The God of love entwined with thee. You can't get away from it. He's entwined with thee. In accord, wrapped about thy soul sublime. Oh, dear God, dear God. I'm going to read it over again to you. I don't care if I have to do it a dozen times. It's worth everything. Listen to this. Here sits the God of love, talking about you. Here sits the God of love, entwined with thee, in accord wrapped about thy soul sublime. Did you hear that? What are you? You didn't hear it? Want me to do it again? You are a soul sublime. Third time. Here sits the God of love, entwined with thee. You are entwined with God. God has become you. God is entwined with you. Some of you might like to say, oh, I have become God. Whichever way you want it. I like it that way, that God has entwined me. God has moved to be one with me, to be entwined with me. Here sits the God of love, entwined with thee, in accord, wrapped about thy soul sublime. That's what you are to God. He's made you his soul sublime because God's soul is your soul. God's soul is your soul. It's a oneness. God of love, he is made a child of love. That's the only truth. Everything else is a bunch of hokum. Fraud, mistake, error, ding, 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 repeat, back up, do it over again. It's simply a mistaken belief about yourself, that you are unlovable, which is where all your trouble is coming from. It stops you from being loving. It's a mistake. And God's going to go further and be able to talk about this. He goes on, and here he comes now, starting to talk about what you're going to have to do. Make contact with the inner depths. God has oneness with you. Make contact, make most of the contact with inner depths. Do this ultimately, intensely. Make most of contact with inner depths. However you're going to do it. Lord, or Mother, however it is, Father, whatever you're going to call God. Use your own denomination for how you're going to address God. You're telling me to make contact with you. I don't know how to do it, but you know how to do it. You know how to help me. Please, I can't stand this unlovable feeling. And you say, make contact with the inner depths. I choose to make inner contact. I'm making contact with inner depths. I don't care how you're going to do it. God doesn't mind. Me, since I know my unlovable mind sure isn't going to make contact with anything because it feels unlovable, and so I have to depend on God. Lord, help me with this unlovable feeling in order to make contact with you, because I would think even you don't love me. Even you don't love me. When I feel unlovable, nobody loves me, including you. And so I need your help, God, because you say I'm supposed to make contact with you. I need your help. Make most of contact with inner depths, which will excite, which will cut off contact with the outer world, which is a defiance of God. Who you think you are is a defiance of God. It's an outer world. It isn't the inner you. What's the inner world? I'll read it again for the 108th time. Here sits the God of love, entwined with you, inner cord wrapped about thy soul sublime. Reality, reality, reality. Reality is not a mystery, at least not anymore. You hear what God is saying to you. Now, you have a choice. Well, I don't know really if that's real. I don't know. Which means you're so down on yourself, you don't even believe God at that point. That God really, he's saying it maybe to make me feel good. I don't feel good. You're right. You don't feel good. You're wrong. God sees you from this inner contact and wants you to go there. And so hopefully this is helping you to realize, take a chance and go there. I have never found a God of unlove. I have never found, and I've had my contacts with God, and they are always of great concern with me, of wanting to help me. Never did God say, I am fed up with you, you meatball. I want you to get away from my sight. Get rid of me. Goodbye. I made an error making you. Just get lost, pal. Never, never does this happen. Not so. God's not tempting you and saying, ha, 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 I tempted you in and now need this. I now watch it how I shaft you. I'm sorry, that God does not exist. Error, error, error. And it helps to say, may I please see the realness of you, God, because I'm so confused about myself, and it messes me up so much. I don't know what's right and what's wrong. And so, would you please help me to hand myself to you and to show me what's the truth? Risk it. The worst that can happen is you're right and that you are unlovable. Get off it. It won't happen. Can't happen. Doesn't happen. That's the worst, is that your fear becomes realized. Never forget it. You will immediately begin to sense an easing, a quietness, a peace about this. That's what you're going to feel. He goes further. Once you do this, once you're heading into the defiance that you're doing, and you're trying to get a hold of God, he states, hear not the lips of jabber, either our own lips that are jabbering at us and making us depressed, lacing thee with stones of vitriol, anger, anger, either from ourselves or we're listening to somebody else who's unhappy with us and arguing with us, or leading into this feeling of being unlovable. Hear not. Get inside of you. Stop listening to what you're thinking, either from your thoughts or what somebody else is telling you about it. It's jabber. They are stones of vitriol. You're heaving stones at yourself, or you're thinking the other is throwing stones of vitriol at you, that you feel it that way. Don't go there. Every time you hear that and you become aware of it, I'm poking you and say, come back to me. Inside, here sits the God of love entwined with thee. Lord, are you entwined with me? Is that really so, that you're entwined with me? Yes, I am entwined with you. And there's an inner cord that's wrapped about with my inner depths. Are you saying that this is true, that I can't be anything else? The cord stops me from being anything. I'm attached to you. I can't detach it because I don't have the power to detach it. Nobody can overcome what you would make. If you make me lovable, it has to be. Is it true, Lord? Is this true? Would you help me, please? Help me. I don't care how you pray it. That's the truth. That's the truth, dear hearts, is that we are a loving creation of God. Face thy truth. Not what you think, not what others are saying to you. Go inside. Look for me in the depths of your being, calling thee to the silver cord that attaches you to your homeland base. The kingdom of heaven is your homeland base. The kingdom of heaven is God's love of you. Look for that. Search for it. Lord, I don't find the cord. Where is it? What's happening? I don't care how you're going to pray it. Destined art thee to return to the holy ways of love shared with children mine. It's your destiny. You can't miss. When God makes you, He knows how to heal you. He knows how to do it. God can't miss. You can't outdo God. You haven't got the ability. God knows what He made and knows how to heal you. Destined art thee. It's your destiny to return to the holy ways of love that I'm sharing with the children mine, warming in the sunlight of companionship. How do you like that one? Warming in the sunlight of companionship. Well, I'm going to go down to the last statement. Holiness, that's what you are, the holy love of God, abounds in meadows soft with sunflowers showered. Sunflowers are being showered upon you, declining the masks of madness which now you can renounce. Enter into the meadows soft with sunflowers showered, showering down sunflowers on you, which enables you to decline the mask of the phony fraud that you think that you are. Phony, phony, phony. Greetings, beloved, treasured child of God. Here sits the God of love, entwined with thee, in a cord wrapped about thy soul sublime. Thy soul sublime, thy soul sublime, our soul sublime, our soul sublime. That's what I am, a soul sublime, made by God to have a soul sublime. That is what I am, a soul sublime. Hope it's helpful. Bye-bye.